Hi everyone and welcome to my June wrap-up and July to be read pile for 2014. I used to do videos like this last year and then I stopped doing them because I've been doing my monthly book reviews where I've talked about the theme all in one at the end of the month. But now I'm doing individual book reviews again. I don't really feel like I can talk about the theme until the month's ended, so I think doing these wrap-ups will allow me to do that. Of course, I've been doing my weekly wrap-ups throughout the month and I'm going to still be doing them throughout the year because I've really enjoyed doing them and I know people have enjoyed watching them. But I'm now thinking that on the final weekend of the month, instead of doing a weekly wrap-up, I will instead do my monthly wrap-up where I talk about all of the books that I've read in that month. In today's videos I'm going to be adding in my to be read pile because it sort of links in. It's quite a similar thing. I don't think there's any point doing two separate individual videos, so hopefully you'll all be okay with that, and I'm just excited to get going with all this, so let's get going and let's get on with my wrap-up for June. So the first book that I read in June was Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Sloan, and this got a 5 out of 5 because it was perfect and I really did love this book. I absolutely adored it. It was so bookish, just fantastic. You know, the idea of a 24-hour bookstore just grabs in any avid reader immediately. I've been raving about this book for the past month and I'm going to continue to rave about it for the next year or for the entire duration of my life because this is an amazing book. I will be rereading it at some point. I really can't help but say good things about this book, everyone. I really do recommend that you read it if you haven't already. The second book that I read was part of my monthly theme, and of course the theme was classics, and the book was Wuthering by Brontë, which got a 3.5 out of 5. I really found the idea very intriguing actually, and parts of it were very dramatic and intense. I really enjoyed these parts, but other parts were not as intense. They were a bit slow and not as interesting, and I felt like with the characters there could have been a lot more development because I wanted to connect with them a little bit more. But overall it was still a good read, and it's still one I would recommend because it's a classic, and I think it's good to read classics once in a while, and it did have a very cool idea, and the second part was amazing, so still a recommendation. The next classic that I read was Frankenstein by Shelley, which got a 4 out of 5 because I really did enjoy this book. It was highly entertaining and I really loved the idea of creation. I thought it was incredibly unique and it's a very different classic, and because of this one that I would recommend to absolutely everyone. I think the idea really grabbed me in from the very first page and I was just hooked. I couldn't stop reading. So again, a really good book and one that I would definitely recommend. The next book I read this month wasn't part of the monthly theme, but it was We Were Liars by Lockhart, and I read this as part of the Waterstones Teen and YA book club that I'm part of because this was the choice for the book that we're going to be discussing in July, so I needed to read it in advance so I could get my opinions on it, and unfortunately it got a 3 out of 5 because I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest. And I did enjoy it and I did find that it was quite interesting, but it was quite an average book and it didn't blow me away. It didn't really surprise me a lot. I was kind of wanting a lot more development with everything because it was a very simple writing style. Although this added a lot of, you know, mystery, I guess, it also added confusion and there was a lack of character development. So for me, I'm not sure if it's one that I would personally recommend, although a lot of people do like it. There's a lot of hype surrounding this book, so if you want to read it, feel free. The final book that I read this month was absolutely fantastic. It was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë, and I loved this classic so much. It was fantastic. The main character, Jane Eyre, was just amazing. She was strong, she was just amazing really, just the way she stood for herself. I think for me that was something which I really loved reading about. I love reading about her entire life as well. I felt like it was all very well developed and easy to understand as well, despite it being a classic. So for me this is probably the classic I would most recommend this month because it was highly entertaining. Some people might just think this is a romance, but it's not really. I mean, it does have elements of romance, of course, that's a big part of the novel, but it also has a lot of horror in this book. There's a lot of intensity and gothicness, so it is a real mix of emotions and it's fantastic because of that. Please read this book, everyone. So all in all, I think that June was quite a good reading month. Reading 5 books, including 3 classics, is pretty good for me because I don't tend to read classics as quickly, but I did enjoy them actually, and every book was interesting. I was interested in every single one. But in terms of being blown away, I was blown away by certain ones such as Jane Eyre and Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. But for Wuthering and We Were Liars, I wasn't as impressed. I did enjoy them, but they were not as good as the rest. So overall, an okay reading month, but slightly mixed opinions on some of the books. So everyone, now let's move on to my July to be read pile, also known as the part of the video where I will say the word excited millions and millions of times, but of course that's going to sum up my mood. So how can we not say the word excited when we're talking about books that we're planning to read. So this month I was thinking about a monthly theme, and I was thinking I'm not too sure really what to do because I want to read 6 books this month, but I couldn't really think of a theme that would have 6 books in it and still be really good. So I thought I would do quite a vague general theme of Summer YA Extravaganza, because there are so many YA books that I need to read that I've been talking about reading recently, and I think it'll be a good opportunity this month to read them. I read YA books really quickly and they're always really fun, so let's get on and let's talk about the books that I'm going to be reading. So the first book I'm going to be reading this month is Heir by Sarah J. Maas, and this was kindly sent to me by the publisher to read and review on my Kindle, and I'm so excited. I love Selena Sardafian because she's such a strong female protagonist, and I just think she's so exciting to read about. She's very unique. I felt like the other 2 books were very intense and there was lots of action, so I'm sure this will be amazing as well. I'm actually really excited to meet Sarah J. Maas in August. She's coming to Leeds on August the 20th, which is the day before my birthday, so that's like an early birthday present, and I just can't wait to tell her in person how amazing her work really is, because it's just fantastic, and I know that I'm going to love reading this book. The second book that I'm going to be reading this month is The Prince of Mist by Ruiz Zafón, because I really wanted to read something more by him, and I felt like this would be quite a different one, because although it's probably going to be really different to The Shadow of the Wind, I'm not sure if it's going to be as good as that. I think Ruiz Zafón is a great storyteller. He has amazing stories and amazing ideas, and I always think that the translations of his books tend to be really good, so I'm really looking forward to this, and it's a really short book as well, so it's going to be one that I'm just going to power through, and hopefully I will really enjoy it. The third book that I plan to read in July is going to be Angelfall by Susan E., which is a very popular book. A lot of people have been talking about it and say very positive things. Apparently it's very scary and dark and intense, and that is exactly what I'm looking for. I just can't wait for it. I know it's going to be a fantastic read, so I'm anticipating it to be really good. I know Liddy from Hey Olivia has been telling me not to read this book after dark, and although I might be doing that now she's said that, I know that if she likes this book, I'm sure I'm going to like it as well, because we tend to share very similar interests in our reading. The next book I'd like to read is Double Cross by Malorie Blackman, which is the 4th and final book in the Noughts and Crosses series. I am going to be very sad that it's over, because I absolutely love this series so much, but I'm very excited because I want to know how it's going to end. I want to know what's going to happen to the characters, and I just really loved the other books. I felt like it was a very unique YA series because it just explored kind of different themes that aren't normally in YA, and because of this I really enjoyed it, and I am really excited, everyone. I can't wait to see how it ends. I'm also planning to read More Than This by Patrick Ness, which is a book that I bought in June, and I want to read it immediately because it sounds fantastic, and Patrick Ness is a very talented writer. I felt like when I read The Knife of Never Letting Go, it was very unique and intriguing, so I'm hoping that this will have the same level of uniqueness and intrigue as that one did. I just think it's going to be a really different read, and I've heard quite a few good things about this one so far, so hopefully I will enjoy it as much as everyone else has. Now everyone, for the final book of the month that I'm going to read. I'm kind of scared about this right now, and I'm not sure what I'm going to think of it. I'm not sure if I'm very excited for it anymore, but I kind of am excited. I'm still quite intrigued. It is Allegiant by Veronica Roth. The reason why I'm not as excited about it is because I found a spoiler. I actually found a spoiler, which is such a rare thing for me. I rarely find spoilers, and since this is the final book in the trilogy, it's almost worse than finding a normal spoiler because it really sums up what happens, and I know what happens now. I'm not too happy about knowing that because the book is not going to have the same level of intrigue. It's not going to have the same impact level as I was hoping for. I was basically on Instagram, and one of the accounts that I follow was doing this thing about what they thought when certain things happened in books and their reactions to everything, and basically they were saying, what was your reaction when blah 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 happened? And then they said, what was your reaction when happened in this book? And it was so obvious because it was the first picture on the Instagram feed. But I guess I'm still excited to see how things get to that point and how everything happens and turns out. So hopefully it will still be an enjoyable read. I know it's quite a book with mixed opinions, but I'm hoping to at least enjoy it. So those are the 6 books that I'm planning to read in July. I'm hoping to enjoy them all because I want to read some more YA. I haven't actually read a lot of YA this year actually, so it's going to be a great chance to do that this month. So everyone, that is it for today's wrap up and to be read pile. Please tell me down below in the comments if you've read any of these books or what you thought of them. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and see you all again in my next video.